Good morning, everyone. So, in the previous session, we have studied about the what is cloud computing, what are the types of cloud, what are the clouds and the deployment modules. So, we have studied on the have some knowledge on the Azure portal also. So, in this session now we are going to study about the AZ 900. So, Azure fundamental, so core Azure architecture components. So, in this session, what and all we are going to be cover. So there is a Azure architecture component. So what is the region and what is the geography and what are the availability and the resources. And not only that, in the further modules, so we'll study about the core Azure services and the virtual missions, how to create the virtual missions and what is meant by virtual mission we'll study, and networking. So what are the networkings we have in the Azure cloud, and storing data. So not only that, Azure solutions. So that is IoT, that is Internet of Things, and the artificial intelligence and the data analysis. Not that, including that, we will study about the DevOps and the serverless and the app services, and the Azure management, that is Azure Advisor and the PowerShell and CLI command line interface and the resources templates. So these are all we are going to be create in the further videos. So learning the objectives, so physical structure of the Azure infrastructure and understanding the service level agreement provided by Azure. So this is how. So you're looking this. So actually, so before going this, so Microsoft as an operating system for their data centers. So you're looking this. So the blue spots in the map. So we call it as each blue spots we call it as one data centers. So we have the data center in the West India. So the Microsoft has covered totally globe. So totally over the globe we have the data centers. So that is in Canada we have the data center, then the West US and the West Central US, so and South Central US. Not on that, Brazil. So South Africa we have data center. Not on that, the main thing there we have the China. So there is very important thing. So not on that, we have the diamond shaped white. So these we call it as a availability zones. So these are all the availability zones. We are looking here some of the availability zones, and not on that. So here we are in the blue spots. So these they announced that is a region with the availability zones. These are some of the spots we have. So these we call it as a availability, announced as a availability zones. So totally the Microsoft has covered totally the 50 regions and representing the 140 countries. And we have the global the data centers of the Azure. So that is maintained by the Microsoft. So this is how you are looking here. And not on that, so when you go to the region paid, so what is this region paid? So every region is paid with another region. So how it is going to be paid? So if my customer base is in North Central US, and it has to paid with South Central US. If my data is stored in the North Central US, if this goes down, I have to get the data from the South Central US. So this is called, we call it as region pair. So the region pair is predefined, so it cannot be changed. So why? Because if my customer base is in North Central US, I have to choose a data center South Central US itself. So I should not take the data center. So my customer base is in East US, I have to pair with West Central US. It is not probably. So why? Because it is fixed. Region pair is fixed. So the Microsoft ensures that so each data center or each region from another region there is 300 miles. So think that a natural calamity has came. So there is a flood, anything. So if this region, that is North Central US, goes down, if due to the natural climate is, my data will be available in the South Central US. So this is the beauty. We have the Azure cloud. So that is a region pairing. So this thing. So not only that, so any updates, the Microsoft think that if any update has to be done, so it has to done first North Central US, after that it goes to the South Central US. If the updates starts from the North Central US, after the completing of the updates from the North Central US, update starts from the South Central US. So there is the beauty, we call it as. So not only that, so if my customer data is in North Central US, so if the north central US has gone. So something as a technical issue or something, anything happened. So how can I get the data? So then the region pair has been done. So then the customer will get the data from the south central US. So not only that, so you might be get the doubt. So if both the regions goes down, so what is the main things here? So if both the regions are goes down, there will be rise of one region based on the priority basis. They will check the both regions and they will raise one region, either that is the south central US or the north central US. So based on the priority basis, they will give this. So there is a region pair. So any updates, that is any update has to be done. So if Microsoft think that any failures has happened, so then they start the update. So they won't do the update for the both regions at once. So they will start the update from the north central US after completing of the north central US updates, and it comes to the south central US, and here they will start the updates. Why? Because the customer has to get the data. So that what they think that, so updates has to finish here. So after that south central US, here the updates will start and this will be up and run. So this is about the region pair. So this is how you're looking at, this is how the system works. So there will be the two regions. So the one is the primary region and secondary region. So think that, so I created the one virtual machine. So that is in the primary region. So I have created the one virtual here. So due to some of the technical issues or something, anything. So if my primary region goes down, so automatically I should get the data from this virtual machine. So I am going to create the virtual machine here. So think that. So here I am going to create the virtual machine. So some of the automation scripts has to be done here, and the load shift has to be transferred here. So then the data will be get from the secondary region. So this will be become your primary region. So when it's come to the database, think that SQL database. So there will be two accounts. One is the primary account and the secondary account. So if my data is in primary account, so if my data is not available here, so automatically it transfer to the secondary region. So this will become your primary region. So here the data will be pick up and it will deliver it to your application. So when it comes to the database, that is SQL database, so your data is stored in here. So that's a primary region. So if my database is going to be down, so maybe the servers or something, so when it goes down, so automatically it connects to the secondary region. So then with connectivity of a string, so then we'll get the data from the secondary region and the data will be delivered to the application. So when it's come to the updates, we study about the further thing. So updates, so the Microsoft ensure that so any failure maybe happens, so it will start the updates. So any one of them it will give the updates. It won't do the both at a time the updates. So it will start the updates from this or this. So any one it will do the update. So this is about the region pair. So Azure geography. So what this? So actually, so we the back. So we sorry. So the blue spots we have seen in this, the blue spots we call it as each region. So each region or the data center. So when it's come to the geography, the region again categorized into geographies. So all over the world we have the 5 geographies. So one is Europe, Asia Pacific, Middle East and Africa. So the zone, so in the geography, so in the geography itself there will be 3 zones. So in the 3 zones we are going to be connect. In the 3 zones we will get the data, as well as we are going to be take each zone we are getting the data. If this zone is going to be down, we will get the data. So these 3 zones are connected with the region pairs. So if any auto failure, so this we call it as auto failover. So anything has happened, we'll get the data from the another. Why? Because where I have done the region pair. So all the complaints are taken by the data centers, so applications or the proximity. So when we go to the availability, so the Microsoft ensures that so availability. So the one virtual machine. So think that So I am creating one virtual machine with a primary storage. So based on how much I am getting the service level agreement. So when I was creating the one virtual machine with the premium storage, so I will get 99.9. So still 1% my system goes down. So how can I improve the downtime? So then I move to the availability sets. So when I move to the availability sets, so about the availability set we will study in the further modules. So when I move to the availability sets, so I am going to create the multiple virtual machines. So I created here 6 virtual machines. Think that, so for example, I created 6 virtual machines. So one virtual machine goes down. So still I have the one virtual machine up and running. So it is going to be so. So if second virtual machine goes down, again I have the third virtual machine. If 4 virtual machines goes down, I have the 5th virtual machine up and running. So this is availability. So availability sets. So, but still I have the downtime. So how can I improve better service level agreement provide? So then I move to the availability zones. So what these availability zones? So in a zone, so in a zones we are going to create the multiple VMs. So in this zone I am creating the virtual machine, and again in this zone I am going to create the virtual machine. In this zone I am going to create virtual machine. So here I will get the less downtime. How much? That is 99.9. So if this virtual machines are going to be down in this zone, so again up and running of this zone, the entire goes down. Then we move to the multiple regions. So here the region pair, that's region 1 and region 2. So if I create the virtual machine in the region 1, I have paired with region pair. So then I will get the data in the region 2. So disaster recovery, I can get the data from region 1 or the region 2. So there's thing how we will get the better performance of service level agreement. So we will move, how can I get the more availability? So we'll more. So Microsoft ensures that still we have the downtime. So how can we improve the downtime? So when we move to the most on the availability sets, so the Microsoft think that, so somewhat we have to provide the service level agreement, so less downtime. So then the Microsoft data center has divided in an infrastructure into domains. So into domains, so that we study about the further. So before that the Microsoft has planned how can we provide the better service level agreement and downtime. So then they have thought that two things, one is planned maintenance and unplanned maintenance. So what is this planned maintenance and unplanned maintenance? So when you go to the planned maintenance, the planned maintenance is a logical separation. So when you go to the unplanned maintenance, so the planned maintenance gives how the downtime, how the systems are going to be downtime. So when it's come to the unplanned maintenance, maybe the power supply or the disks may failures. So the Microsoft think that they have to maintain the both. One is planned maintenance and unplanned maintenance. So the Microsoft data center has been divided the infrastructure into 2 domains. So one is update domain and fault domain. So update domain and fault domain. What is this fault domain? The physical separation, we call it as a fault domain. An update domain, that is schedule maintenance, the performance or the security, updating or the sequence through the domains. So if I create the virtual machine, it will be the both. One is fault domain and the update domain. It will be both. So think that So I create the virtual machine here, and another one virtual machine here, and another virtual machine here, another VM here. So another VM here, another VM here, another VM here. See, if my VM is going to be down, so this is a fault domain. So one thing you have to think here. So one VM is backup to the another VM. So one virtual machine is backup to the another virtual machine. So the fault domain goes down. Still the update domain is up and running. So this. So fault domain, update domain, fault domain, update domain, fault domain, update domain. So this virtual machine mesh goes down. So again update domain 1 is going to be run. So if they done the update, if they are doing the update domain here, so still this update domain 1 is going to be up and running. It is going to be delivered the data. So there's thing. So think that. So I'll show that. So think that. So okay, I'll give 1 0 1 here itself, and after that I'll give the 1. Okay, I'm creating just for understanding purpose. I'm creating the virtual machine, how it is going to be run. So I'll show that. So after that I'll give the 1. Here I will give the 2. So again 0, again 1, again I will give 1. Here I will give the 2, again 0, and again I will give here 0, and again I will give here 1, and again I will give the here 1, and again I will back to 0, and again I will give the 2. So okay, fine. So there's one virtual machine, there's one virtual machine, there's one virtual machine, there's one virtual machine. So how many virtual machines I have created? So I have created the 7 virtual machines. So there's one update domain, there's fault domain, update domain, fault domain, update domain, fault domain. So I have created the 7 virtual machines. Actually 7 virtual machines I have created. So if this virtual machine goes down, so this virtual machine goes down, this virtual machine goes down, this goes down, but I still up and running this virtual machine, this virtual machine, this virtual machine. So this is how the virtual machines are going to be done. So this we won't do the theoretically, this will do the practical. So if any security patches has to be done, so any one, it will start the security patching, after that it moves to the second one. So then how can I run the virtual machine? So this virtual machine is going to be done. So because here the updates or the security patches are going to be done, so again this update domain is going to be run. So this is how the availability sets is going. So how the virtual machines are going to be run. So not on that. So when it comes, so think that if I'm working on the one insurance company, so if I'm working on the one insurance company, so the site when it stores for the Canadian people is to be different, and when it stores for the US people, the rules has to be different. The site when it shows for the Canadian people, it has to be separate. The hosting has to be separate. The site should not cross across the region or the zone. The site when it stores for the US, it has to be somewhat rules and the security and the different rules from the US. So how can I provide the better service level agreement? So then we will go to the availability sets. So not only that, so for at the time we are going to be have the resource. So what is this resource? So a resource is basically it is a container. It is not a physical separation, it is a logical separation. So how this resource is going to be? So the resource where when you enter into the cloud, so for all the services we have to create the resources. So when I need to give the permission, I can give at the resource level. So not only that, so I can delete the resource. Okay, if I delete the resource group, it's automatically it's going to be delete the resource. If tomorrow I need to delete the resource group, I can delete the resource group. So but think that, so if I have the one organization, so I can build a own data center that is near to my organization. So there is no, the building of the data center is not this thing. So but the auto failures has not to be done. So the updates, the services has to be provided as well known. So when it's come to the resource, so at the resource, so think that my data is in southwest or the west. So when I create the resource, the data has to be available in the West US. So this is the thing. So not only that, so I need to give the permission. I can give the resource level. So whenever you're going to be create the resource, so n number of resources you can create. So think that, so I have created the 2 resources. So in one resource, I can keep the production department and HR department in one resource group, and another resource group I can create the sales information and QA environment I can keep here in another resource group. So how can I keep the both resource group at one place? So this is the thing. So again, you're going to be create one resource group, you're going to be combine both. It is done by the automation or by the manual. So not only that, when you come to this virtual machine, so up to 20 update domains you can create. So when it's come to the 21st update domain, it back to the update domain 0. Up to 20 you can create. It is a large number. So up to 20 you can create the update domains. So when it's come to the update domain 21, it come directly to the update domain 0. So this is how you can know about the availability sets. So in this session we have covered about the basic thing. So what is the reason, what is the geography, and how can we provide the better service level agreement and availability sets. So if you like this video, so like and subscribe.